Tiger Woods, 20 surgeries later and multiple swing changes. Let's take a look at what he's doing in 2022. Good afternoon, Lion Golf Academy members and guests. Welcome back, and this is a special episode we're going to do, and it's Masters weekend, so I figured let's just analyze somebody, and who better to analyze than Tiger. You know, I have a list of his injuries that he's gone through in his career, and it's quite astonishing that he can actually still at least play the game, let alone at that elite level. So for him to come off after his latest surgery, where people wrote him off, and to actually compete in the first couple of days is pretty impressive. Anybody that can go around and play Augusta National in those conditions and shoot one under par, you know, hats off to them. Specifically, anybody that's gone through 20 surgeries and had the up and downs of his career. So I have a list of his surgeries. So let's take a look at this, and this does affect his swing changes through his career. So most of them are on the left side. So in 2002, he had left knee build-up fluid removal. In 2008, he had a cartilage repair on his left knee. 2008, reconstructive surgery on his left knee. 2010, he had bulging disc and in his neck and lower back. 2011, left knee and Achilles. 2012, left knee and Achilles again. And these are all surgeries. 2013, left elbow strain. 2014, lower back spasms. 2014, pinched nerve in his back. He had to get it repaired. 2015, lower back. 2015, disc fragment removed from his back. 2015, back surgery again. 2016 and 17 was back spasms. 2017, he had back surgery. 2019, neck strain, had surgery. 2019, torn ligaments in the left knee. 2021, he went back for his fifth surgery on his back. And 2021 is the most recent one. The most gruesome one is when he completely demolished his right side. He had a fracture where the bone came out of his leg, and he completely demolished his right ankle. So for him to actually walk again is pretty commendable, let alone play at this elite level. Now, what does that do for your golf swing? So obviously, he has to have modified his golf swing through the years. And if you take a look at Tiger, when he came out of his collegiate days, it's a completely different Tiger Woods swing than we see today. And that's natural. As we age, we have to change, and we have to adapt to what our body's doing. Most of those injuries, unfortunately, were due to his swing. And he tried to stay ahead of it, but it just, with that amount of aggression motion that he had, it's just your body can only take so much before it starts breaking down. So Tiger has done a really good job throughout his career to always adapt and change his motions. But let's take a look at a couple of his most recent swings. And I got this from Augusta today. Unfortunately, I didn't see one shot because I was teaching today. But obviously, it's always nice to look at this stuff and see what's going on. So we'll take a look at this and break him down and see, what he's doing to correct some of these motions. So this is a nice front view. And what we can see from here is I want you to watch his footwork. So his footwork is definitely stabilized in his career. The most notable thing he's doing is he's planting that right foot longer. Now, it must be a little bit of an issue for him, specifically with that latest injury where the whole right side has just been demolished. So he's been having a tough time pushing off to that lead side. And as a result, I noticed visually, he just looked like he's turning a lot more with his upper body than he has been lately. And, rightfully so, because he doesn't really have that power on the right side as he used to. So it's going to take a lot more therapy. Then he's probably doing a really good job doing that. Obviously, he's the best in the world and the best team around him that he can get together. But it does prohibit his motions through. He definitely gets up and pushes off to that left side eventually, but it's just not as aggressive as Tiger used to be. And when you start relying on your upper body to make a lot of that motions for you, that's when your playing becomes an issue, and we see a lot of his misses kind of missing off to the right. And every now and then he'll compensate that and catch up with his hands, and his hands take over. And he's a very, incredibly gifted in terms of feel, so he's able to compensate quicker than most of us, and he gets away with it a lot better than us, obviously, for regular reasons. Okay, let's take a look at this swing here. So these lines are basically what I look for in any student of mine, and it's nice just to compare them to what we do to see how Tiger's doing this. So that head brace line is important, that spine angle line is important. Now obviously Tiger does an incredible job of staying in that spine angle, but let's look at how that leg injury has affected his ability to stay in that spine angle. If we scan up forward, you can see he still has that patented one-piece takeaway. The club goes right through his hands there. You can put a nice little circle around that hand and the club head, so it disappears. Now he's starting to take his motion back. You see he's at the top plane line, pretty textbook. Club face is square to his left arm, so he's looking ready to go for it. Now, the old Tiger would automatically spin and drive up into it and create so much force that you would just see him explode through the shot. And if you haven't done this now, you need to go on YouTube and type, Tiger Woods collegiate swing and just look at that motion and just listen to the amount of force that he creates. But obviously he's not able to do that anymore. And as he comes down through it, he's keeping that right foot down, and he just basically holds on to that spine angle as long as he can. He's not really turning as much as he used to, so it looks a little bit more armsy, but from this position, all he's really going to do is just turn that upper body around as hard as he can. And you can tell by the exit path of the club, the exit path is right back into that little area here. So that's a really good motion, but his arms are really coming across and pulling down while his upper body explodes through. And then just natural, the gravity momentum will take him up and out of the shot. Okay, so let's take a look at this Tiger down the line driver shot that he hit. So we're going to draw that plane line in the very bottom upper plane line. So it's a nice, shallow plane considering it's a driver. And we'll put that back brace line and also take a look at the head motion. So one thing that Tiger used to do a lot of is definitely push up with that right side. He would straighten that right leg and really drive into his impact zone, hold a lot of angle, get a massive amount of tilt, and just explode through the golf ball, conserving that angular momentum as long as he could, and then just everything at once hits that golf ball. Now, with the list of injuries that he has, and I'll point out, obviously that left knee has always been an issue for Tiger. He created so much force and drove up into it that he would snap his hips and everything open. And that snapping, if you take your knee and you start snapping it back, eventually you're going to have some issues later on in life. And you can see his left side has been the weaker side in his swing, just because it's absorbing a lot of that snap. So pair the left side issues, and now he's got a right side issue where he needs to drive with the right side. That's where he's probably suffering the most, because now he can't even push up into it because of that right leg, and then also he's worried about his left knee, so he can't really absorb, but you can still see some of it left in his motions. So if we take a look at as he takes that club back, patented one-piece takeaway. You could take it, this is always something that I strive for my students to do, is get that chest away from your target as soon as you can, and you have this nice triangle. The hands are right inside of that spine angle. So this is about as good as you can get it while you're maintaining that posture. Top position here. I noticed that he is getting a little bit longer in his arms than he has typically been past. So I feel maybe he's trying to, obviously get that club going further to gain some distance, some club head speed. And that has its positives and negatives, but I'm not here to sit here and tell Tiger he's not doing a good job. Obviously, he's doing a really good job, but I'm just looking at cause and effect. So I want you to watch his knee action and his feet. So as he comes down into it, typically old Tiger, he would already be exploding up into the shot. He'd be pushing with that right side, getting up, and pulling down with the upper body. Since he can't really push up anymore with that right side, or he's just tender, or his body's just not really comfortable with that motion yet, he just kind of remains a little bit bent, and then you can kind of see a little bit of that push pass, but it never really gets straight and drives up into it. If you look at that left knee, you can see it recoil right about there. So he's still, this move is still part of his DNA. So when I have students that ask me, can I change my swing? Yes, you can change your swing to a point, but there's a DNA'd swing in you based on your muscle schematics, based on how things fire accordingly, and that you can't really change. So you can always just learn to live with things and work on things to reduce motions. But the motion itself, its core motion, it will always be there. I will always have a loop. That's just the cold reality of it. I can work to control my loop, but if I take some time off, my loop comes back like that. So you do have your DNA structure to worry about, but he does a fantastic job of staying in that posture. That left knee is trying to brace as much as it can without, hyperextending it. And then he comes on through. You can see how long he's holding that spine angle. And then he just releases naturally. Okay, here's a good view for us. We can look at leg work, action, how much you have to be very stable on the lower body. I much prefer to emulate, or teach my students to emulate the new Tiger swing versus the old Tiger swing. The new Tiger swing, he's older, his range of motions aren't as much. He's gone through a lot of trials and tribulations with his body, but the lower body is what I really focus on my students. And I just want you to look at the two pillars of his legs and how they stay pillars. As you can see, if we draw that club, if this was face on, that club would be going right through his spine angle. So there's no forward pressing. So for all my forward presses out there, watch that forward pressing, because that really is detrimental to swings. But just take a look at this as he takes that club back. He is getting that nice turn. He's still connected to his chest, so you can always draw that arrow, that line to his chest. Now it gets a little bit behind him, which is okay, because this is not a full range of motion shot. This is more of a wedge shot that he's trying to dial in and control it. So it's not necessarily a full shot, but look at the lower body. As he comes into it, he's driving, impact, feet are still on the ground. It's still a pretty aggressive motion. Comes through, feet are just now lifting, and they're lifting because the momentum's pulling him back up. They're not lifting because he's jumping at it. Old Tiger would be jumping at it. And I know that this is a controlled shot, but this is what I would like you to try and emulate with the lower body. Stable lower body gives you a stable upper body, gives you more consistency. So you can still learn from Tiger's shots, Tiger's swing, even though we know we're not Tiger. All right, so here we have Tiger in his backswing. You can see his shoulders and his arms, again, are connected. We don't need that extra arm motion, and Tiger did a really good job back in the early 2000s to eliminate his old arm motion. That's what he was afraid of. He didn't want to take that club back there. He wanted to keep it in front of his chest so he can eliminate the firing of his hands, which involved a lot of timing. So we're going to keep that triangle there, and take a look at the lower body again. So as we drive down into it, he's getting that left side cleared. We get that left bump into the target. As he comes into it, his hands are pressing into the club. He presses them because they're still connected together. So as long as that triangle moves together, becomes a lot easier than if you have to retime that triangle. And most of us are retiming triangles, and that's what gives us a huge dispersion when we miss it. But look at those two pillars. Just like building pillars, we need them nice and straight and steady. Watch that left knee though. As he comes through, you can see how it's absorbing. All his motions are absorbing into that left knee and the ankle. So that's where that, after a million shots, I don't know how many millions of shots he's hit, your body's going to wear down. So it just comes with the territory. Look at that connection, still there. No, the connection doesn't really break away until he gets well past here. So now it's still connected. So I know we got a bunch of triangles up there. Right now it breaks away just because, he's coming out of his shot. But it's still connected. So even though it might be narrower, you can still see a little connection there. So it's a pure connection with his core. And that's what most of us fail to do. And this last one here, this is a really good angle, so that's why I wanted to include this, and we'll put the same spine angle. Also the head brace line and the back brace line and the upper plane line. So again, I want you to watch that lower body and see how inactive it is compared to when he was younger, and that's partly due to those injuries that he has had. So he takes it back, again, textbook, right at the lower plane line to the top plane line, meets it perfectly. Club is nowhere near parallel, it's still connected to his chest. As he drives down, he drops it in the slot. He's pulling away from the golf ball with his body. You can see his angles getting away, creating a lot of space for his hands hands and arms to kind of crash down into the golf ball and release the power. Stays in his posture. And most importantly, look at the footwork. So even on a full swing, his footwork is nice and stable. Where's the power going from? It's being pushed from the right toes to the left heel, and that's going to help him push his body against that back brace line and snap through. And then you can see his arms come a little bit lower, and this is what I meant, where his arms aren't quite on that plane line the way they used to be, and that's just because he can't really tilt under as much as he used to, and his path of his hands can't go up and high. They have to kind of go around because he's just kind of snap through and turn a lot more than he has been. But again, look at that left knee as he absorbs the weight through. You can see the left knee and that left ankle really are still absorbing a lot of his power. So I don't think he's done with those injuries with the left knee and the left ankle. Unfortunately, they're always going to be a part of him. But just think about this. He's gone through 20 surgeries, so many rehabs, a major surgery, a major setback, and he's still out there competing. So, my hat's off to him, and I've always been a huge admirer of his just for his dedication to the sport and his dedication to always staying one step ahead. Can he still get the job done? Absolutely. He proved it this week. I mean, to come back from being, such a detrimental accident to be in a position where he was to actually make the cut and compete on the weekend, that's a huge win. It's a huge win for golf. So just wanted to throw this out there to kind of show some of my students and some people I've done evaluations on that you can't always just stay with one swing. You have to evolve. You have to change your swings, and you have to kind of think ahead. So when I work with my students, specifically on my my Reddit swing analysis series, is I'm looking at, what can I help you prevent injuries, because that's the most important thing. You don't want to be in a position where you need a few surgeries and then try and figure out golf later, because the surgeries are from golf. So I see a lot of positions day in and day out where, man, if they don't take care of this, they could be in an operating table because of golf, and that's not what we want. So just play within yourself. Obviously, work with a professional. If you're not working with a professional, I highly suggest you do, just as I say in all my videos, because it's you have to invest in your game. As I've always said, golfer to golfer knowledge, it's okay, but teacher to golfer knowledge, that's where it's at. You need to go find an instructor who is taught for a living, who can help you with your body mobility. And with that being said, I hope this is helpful. If you like this stuff, hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next side.